The Marvel Cinematic Universe has been developing for almost 20 years, and during this time has managed to span millennia, create different timelines, and dive headfirst into multiverses. Therefore, to understand the sequence of events, you need to keep in mind the sprawling internal chronology of dozens of projects. And as we know, not all of them are of high quality. So, in the next few minutes, we will briefly review the sacred timeline of the Marvel Cinematic Universe from the very beginning to a pivotal event. And we will start right from the creation of the world, which happened even before the Big Bang. Before it, there were the Celestials, who created planets and stars, and then populated them with different life forms. Realizing they needed help to expand the universe and create more life, the first Celestials seeded planets with the embryos of future Celestials. They emerge as soon as intelligent life reaches a critical level, and its energy is sufficient for their birth. True, this leads to the complete destruction of the planet. To help in this process, the Celestials created genetically modified monsters, the Deviants, to destroy the apex predators in each world, encouraging the development and reproduction of intelligent life. If rumors are to be believed, then in the next Avengers installments, Doctor Doom will assemble his own team to oppose the heroes. Fans speculate that it could include a wide variety of characters, from Captain Hydra to King Thanos. But they miscalculated somewhere, because the Deviants were so good at their job that they began to hunt down and kill all forms of life, preventing colonization. Naturally, this hindered the emergence of new Celestials. To contain them, the Celestials created the Eternals. These are synthetic life forms sent to different worlds and throughout the cosmos to kill deviants and protect life on each planet. Of course, the local intelligent population began to consider them gods and the first superheroes. However, without knowing it, the Eternals are preparing planets for destruction and the birth of a new Celestial. After each emergence, the Eternals' memories are wiped so they can be reused in other worlds, and so that they would not worry too much about the death of an entire planet. In parallel with this, Ego appears in space. Unlike other Celestials, he does not emerge from the core of a planet, but gains cosmic consciousness on his own and fills thousands of worlds with his essence in an attempt to create another celestial being like himself. Meanwhile, other interesting things are happening in the universe. For example, the aforementioned Big Bang takes place, as a result of which 6 singularities are formed that govern fundamental things. These are time, space, reality, mind, power, and soul. They came to be called the Infinity Stones, and they were scattered throughout the universe. Still millions of years before the appearance of intelligent life, a meteorite made of the supermetal vibranium crashes into planet Earth. Upon impact, it splits into 2 parts, one of which falls in Africa. Later, as we know, this area will become Wakanda, when a shaman warrior receives a vision from the goddess Bast and ingests a heart-shaped herb altered by vibranium. It endows him with power that allows him to establish a dynasty of warrior kings known as the Black Panthers. The second part of the meteorite falls into the Atlantic Ocean, where the kingdom of Namor, Talokan, will later form. As the universe expands and Ego begins his expansion, the memory-wiped Eternals arrive on Earth 5,000 years before the Common Era. Inside the planet, as it will turn out in the future, the seat of the celestial Tiamat is hidden. For millennia, the Eternals protected humanity, and at some point, they managed to defeat all the Deviants, or so they thought. After that, they scatter across the continents, and this allows other godlike beings to reveal themselves. Thus, humanity first becomes acquainted with the Asgardian, who visit the planet and give rise to Norse mythology. Meanwhile, in Asgard itself, things were far from rosy. It was the dominant of the so-called 9 realms, located on the tree Yggdrasil. Essentially, it was a collection of planets united into a single group. The Asgardians were forced to fight the Dark Elves, led by Malekith, around 3,000 years before the Common Era. Odin's father manages to achieve victory, after which the Dark Elves go into hibernation and hide the ether, which, as it later turned out, was the Reality Stone. Then comes Odin's conquest of the 9 realms with his firstborn, Hela, who would be called the Goddess of Death. In this same era, the Warhammer Mjolnir, which she wielded, was forged in the heart of a dying star. Due to Hela's bloodlust and ambition, Odin rises against her, and in the ensuing battle, she kills the Valkyries. The sole surviving Valkyrie flees Asgard, spending the next few thousand years in drunkenness and depression on a cosmic garbage dump called Sakaar. This dump will in the future be turned into an interstellar, gladiatorial arena by an immortal being named the Grandmaster. Odin imprisons Hela in another dimension and hides all traces of her existence. Sometime later, a son, Thor, is born to him, and shortly after that, Odin kills a frost giant and adopts his son, Loki. These events take place in our time and are not so distant. In parallel with this, new divine beings arrive on Earth, influencing people and creating new mythologies. Like the Egyptian and ancient Greek ones, humans become more involved in the life of the 9 realms. For example, their alliance with a noble dragon repels the Soul Eaters and traps them in the mountains behind a barrier of dragon scales. The demonic entity Chthon writes a set of the most powerful spells on top of Wundagore Mountain. The original text is then copied into a book, The Darkhold, which falls into the hands of dark magic users, including the witch Morgan Le Fay. Elsewhere, a Celtic woman practices the mystic arts to protect the earth from magical threats. Drawing power from the dark dimension, she becomes immortal and takes the name the Ancient One. Around the year 1000 Common Era, unrest in space leads to a war between the Kree race and a new empire, which will last for millennia until the events of Guardians of the Galaxy. On Earth, the warlord Wenwu finds the 10 rings from another world, which give him immortality and the power of a god. He uses them to conquer many nations and bend them to his will. At the same time, the Tesseract was hidden in Norway to keep it safe from evildoers. Magic begins to receive more and more attention from people. At the end of the 15th century, the Salem witch trials take place, and soon after, Agatha drains the life force from witches and becomes an outcast. Then we move to the time of World War II. The Nazi officer Johann Schmidt tests an early version of the super soldier serum on himself, resulting in him gaining power and a red skull for a face. He leads a splinter group called Hydra and finds the Tesseract to create his own technologically advanced army. At the same time, Steve Rogers volunteers to take part in the United States Army's attempt to also create its own super soldier. The project succeeds, but during the experiment, Dr. Erskine is killed and his research disappears. Steve goes absent without leave to save his best friend Bucky Barnes, and becomes an active soldier. During the war, Bucky was taken into custody by the Soviet Army, subjected to mind alteration, given a cybernetic arm, and turned into the Winter Soldier. The Red Skull is pulled into a wormhole while using the Tesseract, and Captain America ends up frozen in ice. Peggy Carter continues to work with Howard Stark, and they form the agency SHIELD. Meanwhile, Hydra secretly infiltrates the government, subtly influencing historical events. Around the same time, the first widows from the Red Room appeared in the Soviet Union, and in the 50s, several African-American U.S. soldiers are exposed to a new version of the super soldier serum. Meanwhile, Howard creates Stark Industries and becomes the world's leading arms manufacturer. In the 70s, Arnim Zola transfers his brain into a supercomputer. Hank Pym invents his formula for shrinking and enlarging particles. And Janet gets trapped in the quantum realm. The celestial ego arrives on Earth and wins the heart of Meredith Quill. And a little later, Peter is born. In the 90s, Carol Danvers is overloaded with the Tesseract's energy and gains her superpowers. And Thanos is already beginning to search for the Infinity Stones, destroying the populations of entire planets. In deep space, the High Evolutionary conducts genetic experiments, creating the Sovereign and Rocket. In the quantum realm, Janet joins the Resistance. On Earth, the Winter Soldier kills Tony's parents, and Danvers returns to deal with the Skrulls. After which, Fury conceives the Avengers Initiative. In 2008, Stark demonstrates his weapons in the Middle East and is then kidnapped by representatives of the Ten Rings. Thus begin the events of the cinematic universe that we all know well. Tony publicly becomes Iron Man. Bruce Banner, due to gamma radiation, turns into the Hulk, simultaneously causing the appearance of the Abomination and the mutation of Stearns. The latter is used by General Ross to strengthen his political career. S.H.I.E.L.D. recruits Natasha through Barton. Mark Spector meets the Egyptian moon god Khonshu, and on the other side of the world, Shang-Chi becomes a master of Kung Fu. In Asgard, Loki tricks Thor into confronting the frost giants of Jotunheim. The god of thunder is exiled to Earth. After his brothers return, the god of mischief seeks support from Thanos. Captain America is unfrozen at this time, and a little later, the Avengers are formed and the Battle of New York takes place. It, by the way, leads to far-reaching consequences. For example, Daredevil begins to fight the crime lord Wilson Fisk. Adrian Toomes creates a criminal organization that trades weapons based on Chitauri technology. And Kate Bishop decides to take up archery. Sometime later, the Hydra conspiracy is revealed. Thor finds the Reality Stone, S.H.I.E.L.D. disbands, and the Avengers create Ultron. After the battle, with whom the Hulk ends up on Sakaar as a gladiator, and Wanda and Vision join the team. After the battle in Sokovia, Helmut Zemo decides to take revenge on the superheroes for the death of his family. Gradually, their actions lead to a public outcry, and the governments of the world propose the Sokovia Accords to control people with superpowers, and the Avengers eventually break up. In parallel with this, many events are happening. The Guardians of the Galaxy are formed, they defeat Ronan, take the Power Stone, and then encounter Quill's father, Ego. Scott Lang becomes the new Ant-Man under the guidance of Hank Pym. Doctor Strange stops the invasion of Dormammu using the Time Stone. Thor returns after 2 years of searching for the Infinity Stones and discovers that Loki has been impersonating Odin. Hela takes over Asgard, and Thor recruits the Hulk and Valkyrie for the team, the Revengers. Killmonger, meanwhile, challenges T'Challa's rule in Wakanda. Gradually, we are led to the battle with Thanos, which begins with Loki's sacrifice. The Avengers gather together, but Thanos' snap destroys half of all living beings in the universe. 27. After this event, things diverge from our timeline. Branches appear, and Marvel faces the problems of the multiverse. 5 years pass, and the Avengers travel to different points in time to collect the Infinity Stones, but along with them, they bring Thanos from his time into theirs. The Hulk uses the restored Infinity Gauntlet to bring everyone back to life. During the battle, Iron Man tragically dies, and Captain America and Loki go into timeline branches. Steve decides to live a full life with Peggy and subsequently passes the shield to Sam. Loki, in turn, freed from an alternate 2012, finds himself in the Gobi Desert and is then taken by the Time Variance Authority. For a while, he works for them to find a time law violator, but eventually witnesses the launch of the multiverse, allowing a multitude of alternative timelines to appear in history. Let's pause here. Further events become too convoluted and go deep into the intersection of different worlds and realities. Spider-Man assembles his team. Quantumania violates the laws of physics and time. Loki becomes the guardian of the sacred timeline. And Deadpool, well, Deadpool is Deadpool. So if you like this format, let us know in the comments. And then we'll sort out all the tangled complexities of the multiverse, because it lays the foundation for the next phase of Marvel and the Mutant Saga. That's all for today, friends. See you in new videos very soon.